Planet Dolan.
From being sent weird packages to being stalked by a witch, the Planet Dolan crew reenact some of the best true stories from Reddit about the creepiest things women have ever done to men. I'm Soup, and today I'll be your narrator. This story was submitted by EarthMotherFucker. One time, Derek was staying at his friend's house. Also staying at the house was his friend's girlfriend. One morning after waking up, Derek decided to stay in bed for a little longer when he saw the door open. The light in his room was still off, but the light in the hallway was still on. With his eyes slightly open, Derek could see someone standing in the doorway. It was his friend's girlfriend, and she was just staring at him. He didn't move because she was freaking him out. All she did was stand there for at least 10 minutes, not looking away or walking around the room. She couldn't tell that Derek's eyes were open because of the darkness. Finally, he feigned waking up, and that was when she ran out. After getting dressed, Derek met her in the kitchen when she acted as if nothing happened. This story was submitted by RationalLies. James Shark once dated a girl who ended up being a compulsive liar and into witchcraft. Not being able to take it anymore, he dumped her. Shortly after, she began to wait outside his house until he came home, saying that she left something there. That happened a lot. One day, James Shark was going to add a new email account to his phone when he noticed that his ex's email account was still saved on it. He decided to check it and saw that there were tons of emails to a witch that were all about him. She was paying this woman hundreds of dollars an hour to learn how to cast spells on James Shark to get him back, how to enchant him, how to curse his new girlfriend, all kinds of crazy shit. She was also asking her a bunch of relationship questions. That went on for months. She ended up moving into the house of a mutual friend, which was one down from where James Shark lived. His friend told him that his ex would always burn weird spices and candles, all under the directions of the witch she found online. It was all very creepy, but it got worse when his ex decided to cut his brakes. This story was submitted by FearlessLingonberry. Gargak's ex had stalked him for 5 years, despite a restraining order saying that she couldn't go near him, his grandparents, and his parents. However, the restraining order didn't include his sister because she lived in a different city. So his ex stalked his sister and eventually approached her at a music festival. She tried to disguise herself using a hat with fake dreadlocks. Despite his sister already knowing who she is and what she looked like, his ex wanted to pose as a stranger so she could get information from his sister. Later on, she ended up sending him something in the mail every time he moved to a new place to let him know that she had his address. One time, she sent Gargak a box with a flannel shirt, a half-empty bottle of cologne, a broken toy axe, a bundle of pubic hair, and an 11-page letter written in crayon. She was certainly crazy. This story was submitted by Drumlin. Before meeting Princess Proton, Spinal Palm met a girl at the bar one time and ended up going back to her place. After having sex, they fell asleep. Spinal Palm woke up at 5 in the morning and started to get dressed. He had to go home and get ready for work. While he was getting dressed, the girl woke up and freaked out. She angrily screamed, "You can't leave!" Spinal Palm explained that he needed to go to work and that he would call her later, but she was having none of it. She attacked him, making him literally fight his way out of her apartment. He ended up getting a few scratches on his arm during the altercation. Since then, he hasn't returned to the bar where he met her. This story was submitted by LickMyFeet14. When Dolan was 9, he went to church with his family one day. After the service, he waited outside while his parents were having a meeting with some other people. Just then, a lady who was a new wife of the minister came up to him and took him to a bench nearby. After sitting down, she asked him several questions before putting his head on her lap. She stroked his hair while humming a lullaby as though he were a baby. Dolan was very uncomfortable and wanted to escape, but he was a shy little boy who didn't want to offend her. The whole thing went on for 30 minutes with Dolan cringing inside with each passing minute. This story was submitted by Varvatos Vex. One night, Hellbent was at a bar with some friends, shooting pool and enjoying a beer. A group of rough-looking middle-aged women came in and made their way to the same side of the bar Hellbent and his friends were on. While standing at one end of the table, Hellbent felt a hand slide down the back of his pants and boxers before grabbing his ass. Then he heard a woman loudly screech, "Boy, your mama raised you right!" Then he saw the woman proudly walk back to her friends. The bartender kicked the women out shortly after. Hellbent's friends were cool and didn't even give him shit about it. Instead, they were wondering what the fuck all that was about. This story was submitted by hectorgarabit. Zaragamba once met a girl at a party where they flirted and eventually ended up in his apartment. While making out, he suggests that they have sex, but she declined. They continued to make out, and after a while, Zaraganba suggested again that they have sex, but once again she declined. They stopped making out, with the girl leaving shortly after. Before she left, they made plans to see each other again. The day they were supposed to meet came, but she stood him up. When Zaraganba asked her what was going on, she told him that she didn't want to see him again because he wasn't pushy enough. Basically, she told him that when she said she didn't want to have sex that night, he shouldn't have listened. This story was submitted by Varthalon. While browsing Tinder, Wolfgang met a girl. They set up a date and time to meet up for a date. During their date, Wolfgang learned that she had signed her divorce papers the same day, which surprised him. The more surprising part of the date was when he discovered that she had laid out her one-year plan for them to date and get married. With that, he let her know that he didn't want to go out on a second date. He considers himself very lucky that they didn't have their first date at his place like she suggested. Who knows what would have happened if she knew where he lived. It was the weirdest situation Wolfgang ever found himself in with a girl. It was like, "Hi, I don't know anything about you, but we're gonna get married by the end of the year. No, your opinion isn't relevant." This story was submitted by Kether Nefesh. Pringle had a stalker while attending college. During that time, he worked in a coffee shop where a woman would always come in and order a coffee. She was so dedicated to stalking him that she would even go in on his days off, thinking she might still see Pringle. It got to the point where Pringle would say, "Hey, I'm not into you." The woman would respond, "I'm just ordering a coffee, you creep." But she knew the truth. Another time, in his 20s, Pringle slept with a girl as a one-night stand. One day she asked where he was, and he told her that he was working. She said, "No, you're not. I saw you on the train." Pringle said that it wasn't unusual because he always took the train to work. So the pissed off girl lit his car on fire. This story was submitted by Eb Killa. While throwing a party for his younger sister, Salty Squid's ex tried to make a move on her. Angry, he told her to stop, and the party ended soon after that. A week later, she tried to organize a meeting with him and his sister along with a few friends. He told her that he didn't want her near him or his sister ever again. That made her so angry that she told him that she had a knife and that she'll use it if he kept acting that way. She also told him that she was on her way to his house. Salty Squid freaked out and hoped that she was only bluffing. However, 20 minutes later, she arrived at his house. He texted her saying he wasn't going to let her in, but she kept ringing his doorbell. Salty Squid texted her again, telling her if that she didn't go away, he would call the police. That got her to leave, and he never saw her again.
This video was made possible by our fans over on Patreon. Thanks for your support, guys. That's it for this video, and have a good one!